right, heavy metal detox guide part two. We left off with supplements to avoid, so I'm going to go over those again really quickly because it can be emphasized enough how dangerous redistribution is when you're doing a heavy metal detox, and these are all things that you should avoid. Um, there's other things that aren't on this list that you might be sensitive to. Everybody is going to respond differently to different supplements. Everybody has their own health issues. Some of these things might work for you, but these are things that you really should be only taking under supervision of somebody that knows what they're doing. And even then, they could recommend them to you and you could be sensitive. So, the first thing is cilantro. Cilantro, the active ingredient is probably whatever essential oil is in there, and it does mobilize heavy metals, but it does so in an uncontrolled way. When you're taking any kind of herb or natural product, you don't really know how much of the active ingredient is in there. You could get a batch where you're taking a quarter cup of it a day and you have an okay reaction to it, but then you could get a different batch from a different produce place and it'd be much stronger. And that's actually something that happened to me. I was taking cilantro, was doing okay with it. Then I got it from a different grocery store and actually had a very, very bad reaction from taking a lot of high amounts of garlic with cilantro. It was a little detox drink I was making. Um, so really, you need to be. I would stay away from cilantro. You don't know how much you're taking, and you don't want to really be mobilizing any metals at all when you're doing a heavy metal detox. Because you have the bass, you don't really need to be doing that. Glutathione, especially for people that have mercury issues, glutathione can be especially dangerous. You can detox large amounts of heavy metals with glutathione. It's your body's natural antioxidant. But again, you can mobilize too many metals and it can make you sicker. I've read of somebody that she said she had danced all night after getting a glutathione shot, and then it took her a year to recover from that shot. So glutathione shots really becoming increasingly popular. If you don't have a heavy metal issue and they make you feel good, that's great. They can be very powerful, but it's something to avoid when you're dealing with especially a mercury issue. N-acetylcysteine or NAC, that's the same thing. It converts to glutathione in your liver. So I was actually messed around with this stuff quite a bit. It did make me feel good for a couple of days, and then I would get redistribution. So really need to avoid that. And even my wife would be able to tell me, she's like, "You took that stuff again, right?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Because it would work for a couple of days and then I would get anxiety, tingling in my limbs, and it redistributes into your brain. So avoid NAC or N-acetylcysteine. The chemical chelation agents, you don't need to take any of those because we have the bath. The clay bath, you can reduce your levels without any worries of redistribution. So you really, these are obsolete unless you're dealing with acute poisoning or directly after you get your fillings removed. Right after you get your fillings removed, you could take 100 to 200 milligrams of DMPS, and I would recommend that. But that was something that you would need to get done through a doctor, not something that you would do on your own. Alpha lipoic acid. This is actually water soluble and fat soluble, and it actually is powerful enough to detox heavy metals in the brain. If you take this is something that you need to take in very, very low doses. And unnecessary to take it at first because this can definitely cause redistribution, and the doses that they give you when you buy it as a supplement are extremely high. You would really only want to start out with taking like 10 milligrams or so of this if you started messing with this stuff. It's very powerful and very effective at detoxing heavy metals, but can definitely cause redistribution. So avoid the ALA. It's dangerous stuff. Really, when you're dealing with taking any kind of mobilizing agent, you want to be hitting your water soluble compartments first before you start hitting the fat soluble compartments. That's kind of a rule when you're talking about chelation. Mega doses of garlic. Garlic can make you feel really good. It actually can, this is something that's going to raise your glutathione levels naturally. But again, you can mobilize too many metals with garlic. So definitely avoid taking mega doses of it. If you're taking this already and it makes you feel good, then that's maybe something that is okay. But for somebody with a severe issue, I would definitely avoid taking large amounts of garlic. Now, some people are going to be not able to tolerate sulfur stuff at all. That would be garlic and onions. And then you also have MSM, which is nutritional sulfur. I would actually be interested to see how this would respond in a bath. Taking MSM, it would probably be great in a bath, but not something I would take internally because of risk of redistribution. Now, iodine in low doses is an essential mineral, and if you are going to be trying to mobilize metals, you're later on in a detox, you can take iodine because it does chelate heavy metals. So, but when you first start out, I wouldn't necessarily start out adding iodine. It would be something I would start out with only 1 drop of glucose solution to begin with. And I would really only do that once a week to start with and see how you respond to it. But just a little note here is everybody responds differently to supplementation. These are the ones that I would consider dangerous. They're very powerful, and these are all things that can cause redistribution. So avoid these at first. And you don't really need to be taking a ton of stuff because we have the clay baths. So the clay baths really eliminates the need to be taking a lot of chemical or natural chelation drugs because it works effectively. It works as well as anything else, and you don't have to worry about redistribution. So, proper heavy metal detox, no redistribution, no Herxheimer reaction. It makes you feel good. This is very critical. You shouldn't feel sick when you're doing a heavy metal detox. If you're feeling sick, you're doing it wrong and you're dealing with redistribution. Should have limited side effects. It's also safe to do if you have your amalgam fillings in. So, the safest and most effective way to eliminate toxic metals is through the bentonite clay baths through the pores. They are safe for kids, safe for autism, safe for mental health people. They're not going to worsen your symptoms. The only exception to this is pregnant women, as baths in general are not recommended for pregnant women. I don't know why that is. It's just something that they always tell pregnant women, don't take baths. So also should have a little note here that heavy metals can be passed to a child through breast milk. So that's one way that mothers can pass their heavy metals to their children is through breast milk. So one downside to breastfeeding. The detoxification pathways, these are the pathways that the heavy metals are going to get out through your body. You have your liver, your liver and gallbladder. Now that ends up pushing the metals in your liver down to your GI tract. Your gut, your GI tract is another elimination route. You have your kidneys and your bladder and out through your urine. Then you have your skin and your pores, and then you have lungs. So there's different ways to detox all of these, but these are your pathways that you're going to be focused on. Primarily, when you're dealing with a safe detox, you're going to be talking about your GI tract and through your pores. So the bentonite clay, safest way to effectively remove heavy metals, toxic load without the redistribution. So detoxification pathway support. These are all things that you can do, little things to help out to give your kidneys a little boost. You want to be drinking lemon water. Lemon protects the kidneys, and just drinking lots of water in general is going to be something that you're wanting to do when you're doing a heavy metal detox. Milk thistle gives your liver some support, and also eating bentonite clay also has some effect on cleansing your liver. Now, it doesn't enter bentonite clay doesn't enter your bloodstream, but it does help ease the load a little bit on your liver. Now, in your gut, you want to be drinking lemon ginger tea. That's a great thing. If you haven't made that before, it's just steeping some pureed ginger and lemon juice in some hot water, and it's a great detox drink. Now, probiotics, you want to be taking a lot of probiotics, fermented food. Cabbage water is probably one of the cheapest and most effective way to get probiotics. All you really have to do is make sauerkraut, and then you drain the cabbage out from the water and just drink the water. And that's a really great way to get your probiotics naturally. Kombucha, kefir, kimchi, these are all fermented foods that are good for probiotics, good sources of probiotics. Baking soda, you want to get the aluminum-free kind. That's a good way to kind of start cleansing your gut. It'll help alkalize your body, and the same with apple cider vinegar. It's a good source of minerals. So you want to be taking the kind that is with the mother. Bragg's is probably the best and most popular brand there. Aloe is also something good to help soothe your gut. You should be also eating bentonite clay, edible bentonite clay, activated charcoal. Hydrogen peroxide is a good way to kill yeast if you have a yeast problem. If anybody that has the metal fillings or has a mercury issue is going to also have a co-occurring yeast overgrowth because the yeast feeds on the heavy metals. And then also when you're doing a gut detox, you can be focused on eating some fiber. These are psyllium husks. Now, this is also a whole nother topic for another video, is doing a gut detox, but this is the basics and some things that you can take that'll help out your detox pathways. When you're cleaning out your lungs, you can utilize a nebulizer. You could add like some distilled water and iodine, and you can nebulize that. That would help detoxify your lungs. You can detox with hydrogen peroxide. Now, this would be a low amount, and it would obviously be diluted when you did it with a nebulizer. But this is a way that you can help detoxify your lungs. You can use a vitamin C in a nebulizer, and that'll help detox your lungs. And then you have mullein leaf, which is a good herb that also helps detoxify your lungs. Now, when you're talking about any kind of detox, CBD, full spectrum CBD, is a great addition to any detox, and it also acts as a neuroprotective. It protects your brain from it helps with neuroplasticity. So CBD and hemp plants does bind to heavy metals in its environment. So certain sources of CBD and hemp can have heavy metals in it. So something to be aware of. So co-occurring infections, that would be candida overgrowth. Things you can take would be hydrogen peroxide, activated charcoal, or bentonite clay. Parasites, this is something also that people have been more concerned with in alternative health circles. The main herbs that you would take are black walnut, wormwood, and cloves. That actually hits all three stages of a parasite. Now, this is another topic for another day, dealing with parasites. But pumpkin seeds, papaya seeds, there's a whole list. Coconut oil, these all help with parasites. And the coconut oil will help with the candida overgrowth as well. So something that we put in our toothpaste because it helps with the yeast. Now, also when you're dealing with heavy metals, you could have co-occurring viral or bacterial infections. Good herbs to be taking when you're dealing with the viral and bacterial infections are elderberry, olive leaf, wild Greek oregano, black seed oil, moringa leaf, and vitamin C. All things that it should be good things to be taking when you're dealing with co-occurring infections. So, basic heavy metal detox. Most important piece here is to keep it simple. You want to eliminate your source, support your detoxification pathways, doing simple things like drinking lemon water for your kidneys. You want to clean up your diet. That's something that we can make a whole video on, cleaning up your diet, but you want to especially be limiting processed foods, processed meats, and contaminated sources of food that come from the sea, like fish. You got to be careful about the kind of fish that you're eating, especially if you're eating sushi. It's a good source of parasites. So you want to be careful with how much sushi that you're eating and what kinds of fish you're eating. You want to be cleaning up your gut. Now, I talked a lot about different ways you can do that to clean up your gut, but that's a whole nother video topic right there. But the biggest thing you can be doing is just taking the bentonite clay detox bath 3 to 5 times a week, every other day. Now, your body is going to kind of get in a rhythm as you start removing the metals with the bath. You're going to be moving metals from a higher concentration to a lower concentration as your body seeks homeostasis. So it does, if you get a lot of metals out with the bath over a period of weeks or months, you might notice that you get the metals back, and that's because your body moves them out of the compartments because you're getting the metals out. So you want to get in a good rhythm of taking the baths. And it's something that you want to, this is a marathon, not a sprint. It takes weeks, months, and years to fully detox from heavy metals. If you're taking the baths every day, you want to see how great a bath works for you. Take the bath every day for a week with lots of magnesium and lots of vitamin C and see how you feel after a week. You should notice a huge improvement after 1 week if you're doing them every day. That's like a quick detox if you want to see what the bath can really do for you. Take the bath every day for a week with vitamin C and lots of magnesium. Now, You want to be, as you're pulling the heavy metals out, you want to be replacing them with your necessary minerals like magnesium, selenium, and zinc. These are all things that are good to be replacing your healthy minerals with as you're pulling the heavy metals out. Because actually, the heavy metals do perform in your body. They take the place of essential metals that you need, like selenium and zinc, and your body will kind of function with these heavy metals instead of the minerals that it needs. So as you're taking the heavy metals out, put the good minerals back in. Now I talked a little bit about supplementing for co-occurring infections like yeast overgrowth and the viral infections. And the most important thing is detoxing should not make you sick. It should really only be making you feel good. So if what you're taking is making you feel sick, you're doing something wrong. Don't do that. Then if you're starting to add supplements, adding things, only add things one at a time so you can get a feel for how things are affecting you. And you don't need to take anything every day except for magnesium. You could take the clay baths every day, but you don't need to be taking different kinds of stuff every single day. Take it for a period of time for a purpose and then stop taking it. So a point here I wanted to make with the bentonite clay baths is they, on their own, a bentonite clay bath can treat acute poisoning. There's been cases of people where they're exposed from fluorescent light bulbs. They were taking the baths multiple times a day, and it did treat the acute poisoning. So I just wanted to point out how powerful the baths can be. If you have an acute poisoning issue, you just definitely contact poison control. But the baths alone are enough to treat acute poisoning. Now, in a case of severe acute poisoning, if you can get a hold of some DMPS, that would be probably safe to take for acute poisoning. But that's probably under the only circumstance that I would take a chemical chelation drug. So basic heavy metal detox, just keeping it simple. Take a bentonite clay bath 3 to 5 times a week. Take 1 to 3 teaspoons of edible bentonite clay or activated charcoal so you can start pulling the heavy metals out of your gut and through your stool. You can rotate them or use them both. Important to take days off or breaks from taking the bentonite clay or the activated charcoal so that it doesn't deplete too many of your necessary minerals. And you also want to be drinking plenty of clean water. If you're drinking a glass of bentonite clay that you've mixed up, you want to drink 2 or 3 glasses of water with that. And it's important to drink clean water that's filtered, purified in some way. So as you're pulling the heavy metals out, you also want to be supplementing with essential minerals like lots of magnesium. I made a video on the magnesium that you could check out that talks a little bit about the good kinds of magnesium, but you want to avoid the glycinates and the bisglycinates. These are the chelated forms of magnesium. They actually can help the other heavy metals in your gut get absorbed as well, in addition to the magnesium. So I would avoid taking the chelated magnesium. Good sources of magnesium are Epsom salt baths, ionic magnesium, magnesium chloride, or magnesium oil, which we sell and you can take topically, and magnesium citrate. That's another good form of magnesium. And then I would also be taking ionic selenium and ionic zinc, and lots of vitamin C. You can take the powder, it's fine and cheap, works well, or the liposomal vitamin C is also good. So these 4 things will take you very far in a heavy metal detox, and they all make you feel good. You don't have to worry about any kind of redistribution if you're just doing this. A little bit as you get more advanced, these are some other things that you can take. Lugol's iodine. Iodine is an essential mineral, and it also chelates heavy metals. I would start with only 1 drop of it, like once a week. See how it affects you, but you don't need to be taking it more than once or twice a week. And really, the Lugol solution is very strong. The 2% is plenty strong, and I would only start with 1 or 2 drops and see how that goes before you take larger amounts. So much safer chelator than chemical chelation. It's powerful and effective. So, be careful with the iodine, but it's something that you need anyway. So definitely safe to be taking in low doses, but again, only once or twice a week. Full spectrum CBD distillate or CBD isolate. CBD acts as a neuroprotectant. It's good for detoxing. It helps to stabilize your mood. You can also use the isolate for people that are sensitive to THC because the full spectrum has low amounts of THC in it. So if you have a thought disorder like me and you want to avoid THC, the isolate is a good alternative. And you can buy this stuff in bulk, and that'll save you lots of money. I actually had some brain swelling that I was dealing with, and I was started taking spoonfuls of the full spectrum CBD distillate, and it helped with the brain swelling a lot. So, CBD distillate is definitely a good thing to be taking while you're detoxing. A lot of people aren't taking enough of it. I would really think you get more benefits from taking 1 or 200 milligrams, as opposed to like a low dose, like 20 milligrams. But you can buy it in bulk, save money. And you can just buy the raw form of it and make your own oils or gummies or whatever. That's the best way to do CBD. Also, some additional stuff here, vitamin E. Vitamin E is a good antioxidant that you should be taking while you're doing a heavy metal detox. It can help mitigate the damage caused by heavy metal exposure and reducing oxidative stress. Um, Studies indicate that taking vitamin E can help alleviate liver injury and other negative impacts from heavy metals like lead, mercury, and cadmium. Also, you want to be taking some B vitamins. Deficiency in B vitamins like B6, B12, and C can make people more susceptible to heavy metal toxicity. So B vitamins are a good thing to be taking as well. Probiotics, I touched on that. That's cabbage water, kombucha, kefir, yogurt, fermented foods, all good sources of probiotics. Baking soda is great to add to a clay bath. It's very alkalizing. So taking the baking soda either internally or in the bath is another detoxifying agent that's safe and I recommend. Aloe is a great healer of the gut. You can take natural, or they make different kinds of oils that are really good too. Um, Lemon ginger tea is a good little detox drink, just lemon and ginger with some water. Helps with nausea and indigestion. Apple cider vinegar. It's good for metabolism and digestive function while working to cleanse your liver and lymphatic system. So this is taking a shot of apple cider vinegar a day, totally safe and a good detoxifier. CoQ10, that's a good one to be taking as well. It's a fat soluble antioxidant. Now, Shilajit, I really, really want to like this stuff. And I've messed with it a little bit, but it can contain high levels of heavy metals. Use caution. Definitely don't use it regularly, once a week. When they use it in Ayurvedic medicine, they only take it for a short period of time and then stop taking it. So it's not something that you take every day. If you do, it can cause gout and hypermineralization. So be careful with the Shilajit. But the fulvic and humic acids that are in Shilajit, those are good to take. They have the ability to bind to heavy metals, essentially acting as a chelator, which means they can trap and immobilize heavy metal ions in soil and water, effectively reducing their bioavailability and potential toxicity to plants and organisms. Now, this is something that they use sometimes in agriculture as well. So garlic, it's a good way to boost your glutathione levels. Some people can be sensitive. I kind of forgot to add that on there. So really be careful with the garlic. If you're using it in food, that's okay, and you're not having. But beware that some people are going to be sensitive to sulfur foods, which would include garlic and onions. Reishi mushrooms, great supplement to be taking. They're used in Eastern medicine for detoxing. They can contain this word here, triterpenoids, which may help with the body eliminating toxins. Kelp, it's a good source of iodine. It's a natural antioxidant. But again, this is something coming from the ocean, so you got to ensure that you're getting a clean source of it. Malic acid, this is a good chelator of aluminum. If you are going to be using malic acid, start with a low dose. I know when I was messing around with taking this stuff, it did having a strong detox effect on me, but it was very stimulating. So I think I was probably taking too much. I would keep your dose low if you start messing around with malic acid. Quicksilver Scientific IMD Detox. This is a Christopher Shade product, but it's a functionalized silica and it binds to mercury. Now, you're only taking a very small amount of it, so really it's best to be using. It's a great product. It's one of the only products I recommend from him, but it's best used with bentonite clay or activated charcoal because the bentonite clay and the charcoal give you more surface area to be binding to more things in your gut. Zeolite, that's a great supplement. It kind of would fall in the category the same as bentonite clay or activated charcoal. It binds to bacteria, fungi, and organometallic compounds and neutralizes acidic and alkaline soils. It can be a great supplement. I mean, honestly, as cheap as bentonite clay and charcoal is, I would just stick with those. But zeolite can be good stuff. You may get more benefits out of adding zeolite to the mix, but just start small with that stuff and see how it affects you first. Chlorella, nutrient-rich algae that can aid heavy metal detoxification, or spirulina. Both of those come from they can be contaminated from the environment, so you got to be aware of that you're getting a clean source of that stuff if you're taking it. So again, these are some of the stuff to avoid. I've already went over this stuff pretty detailed. But I just wanted to emphasize, these are the things that are dangerous, and these are the supplements that you need to avoid if you're worried about redistribution. So when you're talking about a heavy metal detox, it's really a change in your lifestyle. You definitely need to be exercising a lot. Sweating is great. It's a good detoxifier. If you can use a sauna, even infrared sauna or traditional steam sauna is good. Clean diet, which I plan on talking a little bit more about in a different video, and drinking lots of clean water. Those are all things that you should be doing. Now, just to recap, the biggest thing that I want to be highlighting in these videos is that really there isn't a detox product out there that's as safe or as effective as the clay bath. So it's the safest way to detox from the mercury and other heavy metals. It's very powerful and can even treat acute poisoning. So it's the most powerful tool that we have when we're talking about detoxing heavy metals. So the biggest obstacle you're going to be dealing with when dealing with buying clay is buying enough to be taking the baths regularly. You can buy it from me, or you can buy it from someone that sells 50-pound bags, because that's really, you need to be buying 50-pound bags to be taking them. If you're going to take them 5 times a week, you're going to need a larger amount. But definitely the cost involved in shipping is probably the most expensive thing. But if you're local, we can get you 50-pound bags or 10-pound bags or 20-pound bags, whatever it is that you want to start with. We can supply those for you, and we deliver locally for free. So that way you can avoid some of the cost of shipping. But anyway, that's kind of a recap on everything that we're doing right now. And just this is a kind of an overview, and I'm going to get more in depth with some of the other videos. But this is a good start. So anyway, hope you got something out of that, and hope you got some good information. And I'll see you next time. Thanks.